You are not very
nations.
Away places, running short of money, desperate to get home, help can't come soon enough. An NDTV Bureau report.
And the Indian government's control room numbers are there on our website ndtv.com along with all other flight information. Now going back to our top story on the IPL, as we mentioned today, the government has gone full steam ahead and begun an inquiry into the various aspects of the IPL, its funds, the ownership patterns, the ownership structures, everything is now under the scanner. And joining us now for more on that story is the Congress spokesperson, Dr. Abhishek Singhvi, and Mr. D. Raja, the National Secretary of the CPI. Dr. Singhvi, to you first. Prima facie, when you look at how this entire story is unfolding, would you at least concede that there appears to be something amiss in the way Indian cricket is run, whether it's the IPL or the BCCI?
Well, it's not for me to give a judgment as a political party, but personally as a citizen of India, I have no doubt that there are a large number of issues which require to be looked at and scrutinized in the IPL. The citizens of this country have that feeling. The people of this country have this feeling that there is far too much of money and commercial interest and focus, and the entertainment and the cricket part of it is incidental. But that is not to point accusing fingers at individuals. That is to, in a sense, if you like, make a systemic condemnation of the whole structure. Individual culpability is a matter only for the regulatory agencies to look into. And a simple answer is, today no less than the finance minister of the country, an extremely senior minister of the cabinet, has made a very clear statement. As far as I can see, he has made no exceptions, no exclusions.
But let me ask you this though, there's a lot of speculation that some of your key allies who are also ministers in this government also have some kind of a stake in these IPL teams, and therefore, when you say that, the finance minister says no one will be spared, are you saying that the government is going to go ahead with this investigation regardless of the possible political consequences that it could have?
Two very specific and short responses. First, I think it's unfair to besmirch reputations on television by innuendo or by speculation or by whispered indications. I certainly don't want to do any of that. You may be able to do it. I cannot. I do not wish to. Number two, when the finance minister uses the words, no one will be spared, and all aspects of IPL, and I'm quoting, I don't hear any exclusions, I don't hear any exceptions, so I don't see any reason for your apprehension. But again, please don't start naming individual culpabilities.
That's why I was careful not to. But Mr. Raja, let me ask you, how does the left look at this? Do you believe that a tournament like the IPL, shouldn't be played until this is sorted out? How do you see the way forward?
No, the way forward is to thoroughly probe into all aspects of the functions of IPL. It is a larger issue. And BCCI should be made accountable. After all, we are a democracy, and even the role of sports ministry needs to be redefined. What is the role of government? What is the role of sports ministry? Nobody knows. BCCI thinks it is above law, and no law can control it, and this cannot go like this. And IPL has become a business. Cricket is one of the most loved games in India. People have great love for cricket. This strong feeling of the people is being exploited by IPL, and cricket is being converted into a business, cricket business. What is the source of money involved in cricket business? Who are the people? Whether they are questionable or whether they are genuine, nobody knows. And where is the accountability? I think it's a larger issue. The government should take note of it and go for a thorough probe. But it is an interesting change with Congress. Last week, Finance Minister said it was not his job to look into it. Now, after the exit of Mr. Shashi Tharoor, Finance Minister makes a statement in the Parliament. The government will look into all the aspects of IPL. Anyway, it is a change. It is good for the interest of cricket as a game. It is good for the interests of the country. The country should know what is IPL and who are the people involved in IPL.
Do you think, Mr. Raja, does the left believe that perhaps the way the BCCI is run, should also change, that politicians shouldn't be involved in the BCCI at all, let professional cricketers run it?
No, I must make a correction in your statement, because the electronic media or print media go on saying across the political lines, all the political parties, all politicians. It is wrong. It is not all political parties involved in cricket business. It is not all politicians involved in cricket business. There may be politicians from X party, Y party, Z party, you name them. And don't confuse the viewers by saying across political lines politicians are involved in cricket business. I don't buy that argument, but I know there are politicians from major political parties are there in IPL, are there in BCCI, even they are in cabinet, as cabinet ministers, they are leaders of respective political parties. This has to be taken note, and whoever may be the person, whatever may be the position he or she enjoys, needs to be probed.
Right. Dr. Singhvi, my last question to you. What do you think about the structure of the BCCI? Because this is a larger question, this is a larger debate. Is it time to change the way that the BCCI is run, or are India's top politicians never going to let go of that cash cow?
Well, I think you're asking a very much larger question. I don't think as a political party there is any stance taking on that larger question immediately. Yes, as a political party there are 2 or 3 issues which concern the nation and therefore that political party. One, are there illegalities going on in a body like the BCCI or the IPL process? Is it being done in a fair and transparent manner? These are legitimate issues, and every regulatory agency has a right to look at it, and the Congress supports that. The finance minister of the country has said so. The larger issue as to what extent and if at all politicians and public figures should be involved in sports bodies is really something up for debate. I can only give you a personal answer as a citizen, certainly not as a spokesperson of a political party. I think perhaps the time has come to consider legal alternatives whereby you cannot stop this thing, you should not try to stop or ban such things, but certainly reasonable limits on the number of terms for which a politician or a public figure can head or occupy an office in such sports bodies should be considered. And reasonable in my dictionary may mean not more than 2 terms.
All right, an interesting thought there. Dr. Singhvi, D. Raja, thank you both very much for joining us on India Decides tonight. Now, many politicians, including those who faced corruption charges of their own, are now demanding transparency in the IPL.
थरूर गए और ये बहुत बड़ा ही घपला है आईपीएल में। ये सब अड्डा बन गया है 2 नंबर के पैसों को हजम करने के लिए। इसको तुरंत आईपीएल को ख़त्म करके सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का जो स्पोर्ट्स डिपार्टमेंट है उसके हवाले करो, नेशनलाइज करो इसको। क्रिकेट लोकप्रिय खेल रहना चाहिए, लेकिन इन लोग से मुक्ति नहीं जब तक होगा तब तक इस तरह का काम हम मांग करेंगे।
ये विदेशी खेल है और पिछले साल भी मैंने कहा था इसको बंद कर दिया। हमारे राष्ट्रीय खेलों को चौपट कर दिया। अगर हमारे राष्ट्रीय खेलों को महत्व दिया जाता तो आज हिंदुस्तान दुनिया में खेलों में सबसे आगे होता। ये विदेशी खेल है, चौपट कर रहा है, पैसा खर्च हो रहा है, सट्टेबाजी सब कुछ हो रहा है।
Well, a day after his exit from the government, Shashi Tharoor has been silent on Twitter all day, but his fans on the internet have been tweeting away in his support.
The new age academic politician's new age ways of connecting with people enters a silent act. Tweet a minute Tharoor since Friday, tweeting no more. The man who wanted to be the change faces charges of corruption and admonished for political tactlessness in an office that demands it. Yet there is a whole wide world on the web who thinks Tharoor is a fall guy of a complex scam. Voting in support, corporate honchos, filmmakers, even journalists.
I am very much looking forward to the day where he will prove his innocence.
I don't think he has used his office of prophet for anything like influencing decision.
Support from Kerala on expected lines. Tharoor won his maiden Lok Sabha election from Thiruvananthapuram in 2009 with an overwhelming majority in spite of being seen as an elite outsider. This former diplomat, author, columnist and Under-Secretary to the UN donned the khadi with tall promises of change but couldn't quite walk the talk, getting into trouble time and time again.
I think he's going to have a huge fan following. He is an icon in our country. And I think if you take a representative sample in our country, any day people would rather follow a Bollywood star than a politician.
Natwar Singh, who made the transition from bureaucracy to politics 25 years ago, that when he was being sworn in as a minister, he remarked to Mrs. Indira Gandhi that he had to go out and get a few bangalas stitched, and she said, better get a thicker skin.
But for me too, there are adjustments to be made about the things one can do and get away with.
That's before Kochi Gate.
He's this bright Indian who's lost touch. He felt that it was very modern, very hip to be tweeting. He forgot that he was part of an establishment which is very old-fashioned, extremely conservative. The others are more circumspect, and I think this is one lesson that maybe he learned too late.
Shashi Tharoor has over 7 lakh followers on Twitter, but perhaps this modern-day politician needs a few more lessons in the roti kapda makan style of Indian politics, where the establishment is king and support on the net doesn't always translate into political staying power. With Gilvester Asare in Thiruvananthapuram, in Mumbai, Ketki Angre for NDTV.
It's time for a break on India Decides, but still ahead, 2 people are arrested for the sting on the Aligarh Muslim University professor who later killed himself. And it's a miraculous escape for 2 students in Delhi who are pierced by an iron rod in a horrific accident.